Want to come up? Come here, Marcus. Oh. Hey, welcome, everybody. Mwah, mwah. That's Marcus Barcus Aurelius. He is here joining me and you live this Monday, March 27th at 10:30 Mountain Time. You may be watching this live. You may be watching this later. Wherever you are welcome here. This is a dog snack. Marcus likes dog snacks. What? Welcome, welcome. People are starting to come in. And where are you chuming in from? I like the word chuming. I made it up myself. It is a combination of tuning in and chiming in because you're welcome here and you're welcome to chime in. Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you joining us in the world today? And can you hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up or type in the chat if you can hear me. Because last week I totally messed it up and people couldn't hear me and I was talking for like 3 minutes. It was great. I had to start the whole thing over again. So there's several people here. Hi, Margaret. Welcome from Glasgow. One of these days I would love to be able to do a Scottish accent. I take improv and I haven't yet done an accents class, but I would really like to. So welcome. Hi, Brent. Hi, Owana. It is great to see you all. Welcome to this Monday. We got snow last night and it's going to be 70 degrees Fahrenheit on Thursday. And then we're getting snow again on Friday. Welcome to weather in Colorado. I am Dr. Renee Ostertag. Chuming in, timing and chuming in, chime in with me as I awkwardly make my way through these Monday lives with you. I am here in Denver, Colorado. I'm a physical therapist and a psychotherapist, which makes me a nervous system ninja. And I train others to develop the skills to become a ninja themselves so that we can more comfortably in mind and body navigate the unexpected, unknown, and often unwanted in life. Oh, North Wales was a little bit freezing last night. Margaret, how's the weather in Scotland? Who else is here? I'm glad you're here. This on the floor next to me is Marcus. He's chiming in from the floor. He's chuming in because he's a little bit depressed because I have this like dental stick in my hand and he wants to eat it right now. So while you all are chuming in, let's have Marcus, marvelous Marcus, show off his Monday trick. Go ahead and sit. Good boy. You spin. Oh, look at that. Down. Down. Good boy. And up. Good. Can you do one more spin? What a good boy. Everybody give Marcus a round of applause. Hi, Margaret. Yes, sunny and getting cold. Oh, Marcus is one of my best teachers for a nervous system, how to train it and how it will tell you the truth of what state it's in, no matter what. All right, everybody. Let's start with a win. What was a win for you this past week? I like to share in the good news with others. I have declared this a recent emotional boundary that I am willing to share in the good news experiences of others. So, what's some good news for the week? I had a full, busy life week. My God, we had an unexpected death in the family, which was tragic and sad and brought about good things because death is a form of birth and it can birth new things. So in my family, we had a death and a literal birth this week. I am officially a great aunt. I always considered myself a pretty great aunt. I have 9 nieces and nephews, so I get to practice a lot. But this past week, I'm officially a great aunt because one of my nieces had her first baby. Yay! Very, very exciting. So, my dear sister was becoming a grandmother for the first time and dealing with an acute, unexpected tragedy in the family. And last week, the week before, this whole series on choosing health, I was talking about how we want to shorten the distance from tears to humor. And the more we can acknowledge the tears that are true and shorten the distance between when we can start laughing, and that doesn't mean the tears are done, but if you can like have laughter and tears at the same time, it bolsters neurochemical resiliency. And so I had sent my sister a text, and we were all born and raised Christian, Catholic, and prayer is something that we believe in. And I meant to send my sister a text right after the death in her in law's family that I had a whole prayer posse on it. And I had reached out to several friends and colleagues and other dear people to me, asking them to pray for my sister and her family with all that they were going through. And Autospell decided that it wanted to help us out with bringing laughter to tears. So it brought in some humor because instead of telling my sister that I had a whole prayer posse on it, I told her that I had a prayer PUSSY pussy on it, which is not what I intended to say. And I was mortified after it went through. Um, but I did tell my sister in an acute death situation that I had a prayer pussy on it, and we had the best laugh, and that was such a brilliant example of how to bring, humor to tears so that you can laugh a little, sooner. Padma, you're distracting by watching Marcus humorously eat that dental stick. Yeah, he is a delight. It's interesting for you all if you wanna notice your own nervous system. What happens when you watch Marcus's nervous system, right? It evokes for me a sense of lightness and this perpetual invitation to joy and to love. And that's a lot of necessary input for me and for many of us. So today we're gonna be talking about choosing your own life actively with intention to the degree and extent that I have a tattoo to make a choice. Okay, we'll talk more about this tattoo later. Um, last this whole series, today is the last of a series on choosing health. Now, choosing health isn't something that many of us intentionally, actively, explicitly do. Have you in your life ever actively committed with your words and your behaviors that I am going to choose health? If you did, I'd love to hear about it. And what were the consequences of that? What were the ramifications of that? And on the flip side, have you ever not made that declaration and just been subject to whatever life brought your way and you didn't actively choose health in the circumstances that were? What were the ramifications and consequences of that? Oh, on, I'm so glad. Yeah. I told my sister I had a prayer pussy going for her. It's so embarrassing, but like humorous and fun. So I'm glad that helped you and Marcus get into a playful mood. So, this idea of choosing our own health, and today is the final of that series where we engage in a conversation and we learn together how to choose your own health. What does that mean? What's involved with your health? Um, Awana said she did commit, but knew little about mental health and became orthorexic, anorexic, etc. Like hiding monkey, I see you. And here's the title of this. I think I titled it something like, you know, how choosing your life will bring about wholeness and also like a lot of discomfort. And it's worthwhile. But we often make a choice and we don't know what's all involved with that choice. So I'm Dr. Renee Ostertag. I'm a licensed physical therapist and a psychotherapist here in the state of Colorado. Denver, specifically is the city, United States of America. And I just want to say, official medical disclaimer, everything I share in this YouTube live is informational and educational in nature. It's not specific medical advice or treatment, and it doesn't substitute for a consultation with a healthcare professional. If you're feeling troubled, concerned about symptoms that you're having, please seek professional support. That being said, I am a professional. So if you would like my professional support, please reach out to me through my website and you can schedule a free consult. I really get a lot of value, meaning, fulfillment in my life in facilitating others in their journey towards healing. My other human disclaimer is that I am fallible, biased, and privileged. I practice gratitude for all that I have every day. I know I could do a lot better, but I do have a lot of privilege. And I believe that the best way to navigate privilege is to experience gratitude and conscientiousness. Gratitude for all that I have, conscientiousness around those that don't, and what is it that I can do to add value to the lives of others. So that's my thoughts on privilege. I'm also fallible. I'm messy. I'm imperfect, but I'm getting more and more skilled and having fun with all of that. So, how to choose your life? Like Oana said, we can make a commitment to choose our health, to choose our life. We don't necessarily know what we're signing up for, right? I live in a skin encased body that has a brain, spinal cord, and nerves going down my arms and legs. There's 100 billion neurons in there with 100 trillion connections. I can say I choose this, but that doesn't necessarily mean I know what the heck I am doing. And you are saying yes to your health, and you don't really know what you're signing up for. But here's, I think, a big thing. There's probably more than a big thing, but two big things that have been really helpful for me. And we're going to unpack both of them. Number one, a quote from Michael Singer: if you are okay with everything, then everything is okay. Right? So if you want to choose health and if you want to choose your life, really keep that quote somewhere in your experience. If you're okay with everything, then everything is okay. And I would add, including this is not okay. I'm not okay. There's nothing about this that's okay. Like, if you can be okay with that, then really that will enable you to choose your life and all that is in it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. The second thing that I personally have found profoundly helpful is to make a shift in choosing my life from trauma to philosophy. I want to say more about that. All right. Last week, we talked about how do you choose your own mind? What is your mind? It's not your brain. Your brain is your organ. If you take it out of your head, put it on a plate, you still have a brain. It's not working to its fullest potential anymore because it doesn't have a mind running through it. What's your mind? How are they different? Mind and brain. Mind, I like the definition that it is an energy and information field. And it includes, but is not limited to, but I think this is a fairly inclusive definition. Mind is your brain, your body, and your relationships. Oh, Zulu Alpha Charlie. Zach, it's great to see you. Thanks that you're live. Hey, hey, good to see you. And we'll catch you on the other side. Listen later, leave comments, say hello. Everybody's a little quiet today, but there's a lot of people here, which is exciting. I am engaging my mind with you, right? This energy and information field is engaging in relationship. And you all are doing the same. You're engaging with me. You're engaging with your life. Brent Green here is engaging by sharing Dr. Mark Crooks, his friend for 30 plus years, fought cancer for 57 years. Wow. That's more cancer than not. He was a leader in the field of wellness, and he inspired fitness in others because of his own dedication. He chose health. There's a good story, my friends, right? Like, I have cancer for 30 plus of my 57 years. That's incredible. Look at the power of our choices. Ooh, Awana, tell me more. And relationships, how is that helping you connect dots? Right? If we want to choose our health, we need to choose our brain, we need to choose our body, and we need to choose our relationships. And so I recommend doing an inventory of your life, you and all that's in it. And when you think about all that's in it, right? If you want to get to the point where you're okay with everything, including everything that's not okay, do an inventory of your life and look at the things in it. What are you accepting? What are you tolerating? And what do you want to reject? That's part of choosing health, is doing an inventory of all that's in your life, brain, body, relationships. Do I accept this? Do I tolerate it? Do I reject it? And the key thing here, like Awana said, the relationships piece, right? If my mind is relationships and I'm engaging in an energy and information field within relating within myself and the world around me, what is it that I want to accept? What is it that I want to tolerate? And what is it that I want to reject? Scott Lee, I'm so glad you're listening. It's good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Who else is here? Where are you chimming in from? Tell me something good. Tell me something good. There's good that comes when we share good things, right? It helps bolster the mind, right? The relationships and the things that are good that most of us want more of. Padma chose health this year, but it felt like shining a light on the bad habits I've created for decades. Raise your hand if you can relate. And then felt overwhelmed and wanted to quit and go back to head in the sand. Again, raise your hand if you can relate. This is not a little thing. When we say, I'm going to choose health, whoa, we have no idea what we're signing up for. Padma, I'm sure other people can relate to what you're saying. Ascension astrology with Raina Moon, the term privileged is patronizing. Oh my God, I'd love to hear more about that. Because I could say a lot more about it. And admittedly, I've been saying it because you're supposed to say it. And I'm just trying to practice awareness and gratitude. So please, I would love to hear what you're saying. I think everybody has their own privilege in their own way. So thank you for your rejection. That is part of choosing health. Get clear. What do you want to reject, folks? There are things that are good for you to reject in your life. I think the challenge comes when we know there's something we should reject or would benefit from rejecting, but we don't. So then we're stuck in tolerating, right? Because this is how these three options are connected to health. When you accept, reject, or tolerate, those have different health consequences. When I accept something, it may or may not be difficult, but long term, it's going to lead to better health and happiness. When I reject something, it's probably going to be difficult at the start, but again, will lead to long term better health and happiness. When you tolerate something, it is a guaranteed recipe for long-term suck, my friends, and it has health consequences. So when I do an inventory of my life, and last week I shared about how, wow, I didn't realize I'm still showing up in certain arenas of my business as a rescuer, which has health consequences to me, and it's not actually helpful to the other party unless they are in imminent physical danger. So choosing to decide to reject how I was showing up as a rescuer was a really good choice for me. And now I'm working towards, okay, So if I reject that way of showing up in my business, in my life, what does that mean for me? So now I got to tolerate some discomfort as my system's reorganizing. So thanks, Ascension Astrology. Owana says how important relationships work or not. Ha, right? Because mind, brain, body relationships, how these important relationships work affect my mind, which affects the rest of my life. Yes, it does. Right? I am for work that I do in the world, I have my own business, and I love showing up as a creator, a coach, a challenger. And by and large, when I do more of those roles in my life, I feel better in my body because I'm relating to an important relationship in my life, which is my work, in a way that's more empowering. When I'm showing up as a victim or a rescuer, as a persecutor, that still feels a little sick inside of me. And so I'm going to reject that way of showing up in the world and renegotiate it. So I'm really excited because the next series that I'm going to be doing is talking about the benefits and drawbacks of the 6 major roles that we show up in relating in the world: victim, creator, rescuer, coach, persecutor, challenger. But that's for later. For today, Owana is saying how relationships, especially the important ones that occupy a lot of real estate in mind and body, those affect our health. And if you're okay with everything, then everything is okay. I want to tell you, when you do an inventory of your life and you want to choose health and you're looking at all of your life, brain, body, relationships, how you relate to yourself in the world. There's sections where you want to accept, reject, tolerate, and all of those are okay. I recommend the areas that you want to accept in your life, celebrate them, soak and savor and feel the experience in your body. 12 seconds at a time is a way to encode that into your long-term memory. When you have a positive experience of connection, safety, love, take an extra 12 seconds to wire that into your system. I'm literally drooling as I'm talking about it. So the things in your life that you like and want to accept and want to have more of, I recommend that 12-second soak and savor practice. Lena, it's great to see you. I did get your email just this morning. Thank you for that. Um, Owana, guilty of prioritizing relationships over health in the past. I hope to lose this habit. Lena, you're privileged to be here now. Yeah, we all have luck, good fortune, and grace. So when you're choosing your health, right? And Owana, I'd argue this, right? Choosing relationships over your health. I've done that too. And in a way, it was a gift back to me that was hindsight, where I was choosing another person over my own well being. But really, they were a mirror back to me of the shadow parts of myself that I couldn't choose. And so I like to think of when I'm choosing a relationship over myself, it's like a stepping stone for me to get to the place where I can choose the not so nice parts of me, right? Like the shadow, the shame, the guilt, the gross, the ugly. And so I would just encourage that. It feels compassionate as a viewpoint to me, and maybe I need to extend it to myself. Um, so when you do the inventory of your life and you want to choose health, look at the things that are already working well, start there and celebrate them. So accept the things that you're already doing well and that your system has that capacity. What a gift. What a gift. There are things in your life that you want to reject but can't. You should reject, but for whatever reason aren't. I want to give you all kinds of space for grace that is okay. Those things are really, really difficult in my experience. They might not be yours. Very merry, total bollocks. See, she's rejecting something. I don't know what, but rejecting is a healthy thing to do. And our body has this sort of natural knowing about what's okay and what's not okay for us in any given moment, in any given circumstance, with any given context. This is a highly changing landscape. And the more that we can take some time and space to reflect and connect to that inner wise voice within us, it can guide us on what to reject, when, and how. So, when you do the inventory of your life, what do you want to reject? Brent Green has learned to reject convenience friendships and cosmetic friendships, and instead have chosen interdependent friendships. Right. And Brent, what a beautiful gift. I'm guessing you've done that because you've learned. We're all here to learn that there are things that are okay and not okay. There's things that work for us and things that don't. And I just want to give you permission to reject the things that don't work in you or in another. And when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. Look at the things in your life that you're tolerating. I have spent a lot of years tolerating subpar behavior towards myself from other people. And my body the whole time has been disgusted with what I'm allowing and what I'm accepting to what I'm tolerating. Right? Like the rescuer role, the way I was doing it was so disempowering. It was literally making me sick, but I was just tolerating it and calling it irritable bowel syndrome because, PTSD, IBS is part of that. And so we just kind of make okay these things that really aren't okay, which on some level is okay, but at some point it's going to get not okay. And you're just going to get tired of it. And when we're sick, when we're not well, I think that's our body trying to wake us up to something. And it's the thing that disgusts me most about respecting, um, rescuing, fixing, is that we're not actually listening deeply to the underlying wisdom that's there. So, how do you choose your own health? Part one, how do you choose your own life today? Do an inventory and look at all the things that you want to accept, reject, and tolerate, and make a choice. Hi, Angry Peach. It's good to see you. Brent also says that interdependent friendships can be a gift of maturity. Absolutely. The few amazing friends we can count on when we become distraught or disillusioned. Yeah, when you go through hard things, the people that stay with you through the test of time, I think that's a good way to look at the gift of maturity, these interdependent friendships. We were never meant to go through these hard things alone. And these friends, as Brent talks about them, these interdependent friendships, the ones that lift our spirits and in return become a sympathetic shoulder during their tough times. It's this beautiful reciprocity. And that's the kind of relating, right? Brain body relationships in the mind that lends to long term health. When you have safe people that you can connect with and go through the highs and lows of life with, that tends to yield long-term health because we aren't actually wired to go through hard things alone. Oh, all right. Who's choosing their life? This is a big deal. Do you today choose your life as it is? Many of us struggle with that. I had a rumble with that myself today. I thought to myself, what a fraud. I don't choose all of my life. There's parts of it that I want to reject, and there's parts that I'm tolerating. And I said, but that's actually the whole thing. If you're okay with everything, then everything's okay. When you choose your own life, you make a declaration that you're worth choosing. And choosing doesn't mean everything's perfect and great and happy unicorn fairy tale roses all the time. Choosing means I'm choosing that there are things here that I like, things that I don't, things I'm okay with, things that I'm not. I'm going to choose all of it. And I wonder, like, if you have ever heard the words, I choose you. Brent, I choose you, Angry Peach. I choose you, Barry Mary. I choose you, Leah Carlson. I choose you, Vidhea. I choose you. I choose you to be in conversation with here today, Toby Gibbons. I choose you. I choose this moment to be in conversation with you. Can you imagine how good that feels to be the chosen one? Like, wow. And when we choose our own lives, we can choose to become that chosen one. That's okay with everything because everything's okay, including the things I need to reject, the things that I'm tolerating, and the things I'd like to accept. CH Dante, aloha. I choose you to be in conversation with in this moment. Toby, I see your comment and I'm going to reply here in a second. I'm going to do that second right now, and then I'm going to come back to this wedding ring. Toby Gibbons asks, am I still getting triggered or did I heal that completely? I'm just coming out of a triggered state, which lasted 2 months and it was very taxing. And she said, I helped her out of it with my videos. First of all, that makes me want to cry in the best kind of ways because that's what I choose. Like, I choose to share what I've learned here on this platform to hopefully lessen the learning curve and make less steep the suffering that is inevitable in all of our lives. And so, Toby, to answer your question, I still get triggered every day. Every day, every day. So I didn't heal that completely. And this is going to relate to the shift from trauma to philosophy. We will get there. But I think the expectation that we never get triggered is a realistic one. Because what is trigger? It means to activate, right? Like there's some sort of action that needs to be taken. Literally, this is an embarrassing story, but I yelled on the phone to the manager at Target because they messed up my prescription for new glasses. And then they wouldn't send me a new one. So I had to take 30 minutes out of my day to drive over to this store because of their mistake and then drive home. And I tried like 4 different communication tactics and strategies, and I couldn't land any of it with her. I wasn't feeling heard. I wasn't feeling understood, and I wasn't feeling valued. And I tried like 4 different communication strategies. She just kept repeating the same old line, not taking responsibility for their error. And finally, I yelled on the phone. I was like, rah, rah, rah. I said, great. I have a voice and a choice. I'm going to use it. I'm not necessarily proud of it. But she said, I don't have to take this. You are literally yelling at me. And I said, that's right, I am. And you don't have to take it. It's not appropriate. And I hung up the phone. And on some level, it felt good. Was it childish? Yes. Did I feel like an angry, pissed off freaking teenager? Heck yes. On some level, was it good for me to have a voice and look at that trigger and analyze and learn from it afterwards? Yes. Did I call back 3 minutes later and apologize because she didn't deserve me yelling at her? Yes. Did I then drive to the store and discover they were closed? Yes. Did I then take that 30 minutes of drive time to analyze the trigger and look at the hurt that was underneath? Absolutely. There's so much hurt that I carry as a healthcare provider in this profession for 20 years of The doctor made a mistake. They didn't own it. And then the burden falls to me. And I can be pissed off about that, but being and staying pissed off for a really long time is like, holding coal, and what's that saying where you expect to throw it at somebody and you don't, you only burn yourself. So I'm actively in a forgiveness process of the healthcare system. So I don't think that I'm not healed. I think that I still carry some of that anger and that hurt in my digestive system, in my neck, tension and stress. But I don't think that means I'm not healed, Toby. Very long answer to your question. What does that bring up for you? So yeah, I think we can be healed and still be triggered. And I think being healed means life breaks all of us and we can put ourselves or allow ourselves to be put back together. And that's what wholeness is, right? The kintsugi bowl. We've all been broken by different traumas, disappointments, losses in life. How we allow ourselves and how we engage with being put back together is healing. And I'm at the place where I got a kintsugi bowl and I broke it and I put it back together and then it kept breaking. And so I'm still putting it back together. But I guess I would define when you're healed is when you can own your broken and whole and display it on a shelf and own your story. This is who I am. And that's going to lead really nicely to this shift from trauma to philosophy. But Toby, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. That was a very long-winded answer. Sometimes I talk a lot. By the way, I've gotten emails that people like my earrings. And today was kind of a gray day. So I'm like gray and black. And I was like, I need some color. And I'm feeling a little fiery. And, fire is a good way to wake up a freeze. And so I've got this red necklace from my cousin, a scarf that has meaning to me from a dear shaman, past teacher, and these earrings, an old patient of mine made them for me. And I often use clothing or jewelry to co-regulate with, to have the support of others with me, even when I'm alone. C.H. Dante learned something new, that enlightened hate is blue. And the medicine Buddha that has transcended lower hate sees everyone for what they really are, already enlightened and perfect, healthy peanut. I don't fully know exactly what you mean, but I really love the energy, C.H. Dante. And then he corrects, like, yeah, we're perfect and healthy people, not peanuts. Although my friend had a baby and she called it peanut for a very long time. So now you can, ooh, C.H. Dante. So I learned something new, that enlightened hate is blue. Can you explain more about that? But I love it because that speaks to me about wholeness, choosing health, choosing your own life, choosing your own mind, which is brain, body, and relationships. Everything is okay, including that which is not okay. Because if you're okay with everything, then everything is okay. And I think that lets us see more clear-eyed the truth that all of us already on some level are. This is my belief system, in our most pure form, perfect beings of soul or spirit, living, with a body, in a body, as a body, but the body isn't all that I am. And the more I can let my spirit move through this body, sometimes it's constricted, sometimes it's more wide, right? But in general, the more I can rhythmically move through the contractions and expansions of my body, my rib cage does it 20 to 25,000 times a day. So does yours. That's a lot of life, right? And sometimes if I can't choose my life, I let it choose me. Like my breath has chosen me. What a gorgeous gift. This idea of this tattoo was really all about I'm putting my flag in the ground and I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose to believe that I am a good person. And I got a tattoo because I needed that frequent reminder. And maybe you need a reminder too that you are choosing your life. You are choosing you. And this is an interesting piece of jewelry, and it's very intentionally the only one I wore today. This is a wedding ring that I purchased for myself for $35 from TJ Maxx, which if you don't know what that is, it's a like discount store here in the States. So I'm a big spender on my own wedding ring. But I had just broken up with a guy that I really enjoyed and it just didn't feel right. And I was heartbroken, even though I was the one that ended it. And I came across this TED Talk and she said, the person that you really need to marry is yourself. And I really liked that idea. I kept looking for my wholeness outside of me in a relationship with another person. And the repetitive disappointment and heartbreak that would come along with that just got to be so much. And so I made a choice to marry myself. And I bought a $35 wedding ring to myself. This is so embarrassing, but beautiful that I'm saying this to everybody here that will ever watch it. But there's some powerful thing about knowing you have your own back, right? I have my front, I have my back. I have a reminder every day that I've chosen myself, I've chosen my life, which then better enables me to show up authentically as I choose others. And got down on one knee in my bedroom in front of a full length closet mirror. And I made a vow to myself, and I'm crying and sobbing like ugly, gross face, nasty tears. I love you no matter what, no matter how gross and disgusting. I choose you. And then I subsequently got another wedding ring, a lot more expensive in Hawaii, to like represent that I choose both the ugly parts of myself and the beautiful parts of myself. And I guess I'm the one that decides what's beautiful and ugly. So there we go. You get to choose, choose, choose. Uh, Owana says using objects to co-regulate with. Yes, this is an object that my mind has a relationship with. And a very dear special woman gave this to me named Paula Girardi. And when I need the energy of mother that loves me, when I wear this around me, she's with me. She's holding me. She's chosen me. I've seen it in her eyes, these moments of like, girl, I love you no matter what. We all need that, but we can't have it around us all the time externally so that my eyes can see. So these objects help me remember. And like C.H. Dante says, yeah, we get to stay in touch with special people and special choices and special decisions that we have made for ourselves. Scott Lee, ditto. All right. We've talked now about the first piece of how do you choose your own life? Get okay with everything, because when you're okay with everything, everything is okay, including all the stuff in your life that you want to accept, reject, and tolerate. Hey, man, all of it is okay. Just know that you have my blessing for whatever that's worth. Toby, thank you so much for my answer. It helps to integrate, accept, and allow what's going on as normal in our experiences. Triggers aren't making me angry, but powerless, anxious, panicked. That's a good awareness. What do your triggers do? And what are they triggering you to notice, right? I hear with Toby circuits of powerlessness, anxiousness, and panic. And when I think back historically to times and places and spaces where I have that, it's usually an underlying like trauma response for me. And I will often go rage to protect myself. And what I've learned as I watch myself over the years is, and proof, like yelling at the woman from Target, it didn't actually solve the problem. It's like a reaction inside of me. And the more I've learned to create a little more space between stimulus and response and get off the stimulus reaction tornado train, the more I can see, oh, that stimulus created this response in me, and now I'm raging out. Right. So I think that is a beautiful invitation that triggers don't necessarily mean you're broken and haven't healed. They're an alarm for you, a notifier, an indicator of places where there's still hurt and it needs love and care and choosing. And you may or may not be able to do that for yourself. And hopefully, you have another person in your life that you can connect with in your mind, maybe real time, maybe not, but that can be healed. Healing happens. Thank you so much, Toby. And I do wish you good things. And I choose to believe that healing happens and it's available for you as we create a little bit more space between the stimulus and response. Vidhya, I'm glad you liked my story. I was glad to share it with you, even though sometimes these things are a little uncomfortable, but that's what I promised in the title is that choosing your own life will bring about discomfort. But that's part of wholeness. And discomfort is not the same as feeling or being unsafe. So let's talk about this second piece here today. And before we do, if anybody has questions, thoughts, insights, aha, so far, we've talked about the first of two insights for you, lessons from me. How do you choose your own life? If you're okay with everything, everything's okay. What are you hearing? What do you want to be sure to remember, to learn, to integrate? I want to be sure to take some water. I'm going to reject that I can't take a pause to let you all contribute and for me to receive some water. Toby says, thank you. You're a beautiful soul and a balm for mine. And I'm glad. I think the more we can choose ourselves and our lives, the more neural circuits we free up within our human system to be able to reflect that back to others. All right. Lesson section 1. If you're okay with everything, then everything is okay, including that it's a process. It's always going to be work, and rest is a necessary part of the work cycle. And it's going to be hard, but we can get better at hard, and hard can become way more enjoyable and fun. So here's to accepting, rejecting, and tolerating, and always shifting those things. One last thing. A lot of people say, I don't want to accept or choose because that means that's going to be how it always is. Is that something you can relate to? Especially a lot of spirituality, new age stuff. I'm not judging it as wrong or bad, but like what you think about, you bring about. And if you think you're accepting yourself as overweight or unhealthy or broken, if you think that you're accepting that, you're like calling it into life. Is that a belief system that you've gotten caught up in? Because the argument that I would have for that is if it's on your radar, it means you already have it. You've already chosen it. So giving it a voice actually lets you offload it and get it more out of your system, right? If that's a thought that you have, that tells me it's inside of you somewhere. And don't put voice to it because then you're going to attract it. I don't buy into that belief system because you've already attracted it. It's already inside of you. So truthing about it, giving a voice to it, I think is actually a way to offload it out of your system. Yeah, growth doesn't happen in our comfort zone. It's true. Um, Discomfort is where our growth lies. And sometimes we need discomfort and sometimes we need comfort. I think a key here is to recognize that discomfort doesn't necessarily mean unsafe. Lena, oh, Lena says, "Oh, my body, I'm overweight and a guy wants to meet up for the first time. I'm so scared to be rejected, but I'm okay. But if I'm okay with everything, everything is okay. Body is a big issue and I don't want that." Oh my gosh, I just love you for saying that, Lena. I feel all this like cute aggression. Like if we're okay with what we have and it's embodied, we're going to attract more of that in our lives. So, yes, go out on that date. And before you do, look in that mirror and choose yourself. And he will make it clear to you if he's going to choose you or not. But either way, you're okay. Because when you choose yourself, maybe you attract a guy that doesn't choose you. That's all right. The next one or the next one or the next one. There's somebody who's lucky to have you. Owana used to think that accepting meant staying stuck there, but that's changing now. Good, 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 good. And here's the second piece that's been really helpful for me in choosing my life, including the suck, is to make the shift from a lens of trauma to one of philosophy. Now, let's talk more about what I mean with that. And this is a biased perspective of my own. Okay. So take or leave. But I've had childhood trauma and adult trauma. My mom died very suddenly of a brain aneurysm at age 47. I was 11. My father was very shut down, depressed, disconnected for a good 7 years. And my 3 older sisters all left the house. So there was a lot of habits in my nervous system that got wired in from that environment of disconnect and a lot of sad, depressing emotional pain. And because we're human, we can do hard things and get through hard things. And that chunk of years left some skid marks on my nervous system. And then I went into healthcare and I had a lot of secondary PTSD working in hospitals, seeing some pretty gnarly stuff at Stanford. And then the skid marks that I already had on my nervous system, like a beaver dam, right? All this like log jammed up circuits of threat just piled up more and more. And then I had a huge breakdown um, when I was 30. But maybe, it's true that when things are falling apart, they're actually falling into place. So, here's the thing. For the last like 10 years after that breakdown, I was like obsessed with the trauma lens. Everything's trauma, everything's bad, everything's wrong. I'm broken. I need to fix it. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars in therapy, and all of that had its time and place. But until I made the shift out of the trauma lens and into the philosophical rumbling lens, I don't know that I was ever going to get out of that cycle of reinforcing circuits of threat in my nervous system. And circuits of threat, especially when there is no actual danger in any given moment, will keep you locked into circuits of PTSD and pain, physical pain, emotional pain, social pain, because all those things, trauma and pain, they are all rooted from your nervous system's perception of threat. Is your threat detection system accurate or off? Because mine has been off for a very long time. It's correcting, but there's still areas in my life where I'm perceiving um, threat where there is no danger. There's annoyance. There's things I don't like. There's things that are uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean they are acutely, objectively, physically dangerous. Owana, I see what you're saying, and I'm going to speak to that in a moment. So, I watched this masterclass by Cornell West, and it really helped me kind of open up my eyes out of the horse blinder effect that the trauma lens was having on me. And I'm not saying that trauma isn't real and it doesn't need to be addressed. It does. Please do. And the best way to do that in my belief system is to follow your inner guidance and knowing, which is a whole other conversation. And Owana spoke to that. Like, discomfort doesn't always mean we're on the right track. No, it doesn't. Sometimes discomfort is like, this is not a good place for me to be. I got to get out of here. Or like, hey, yo, you're infringing on my boundaries. I don't feel comfortable. Like, to learn how to discern which discomfort is healthy requires connection to some sort of innate knowing that I believe lives inside of all of us, but that can get messed up in circuits of prolonged threat, perceiving danger where there isn't any objective physical danger. Owana will catch you on the flip side. I'm so glad that this has been helpful for you. Please tell your friends. So I watched Cornell West and his introduction to philosophy. And he had this beautiful thing in the way that he shows up in the world. Like, how do you think like a philosopher? And a philosopher is on this quest for truth and beauty and goodness. And a philosopher also recognizes that it's this, how do I hold both and, right? I think trauma pitched me into this either or, but philosophy is this both and way of thinking and accepting, right? To be a philosopher, which any of us can be, is the choice, right? I'm choosing to go on a joyous adventure, and it's accessible to each and every one of us. And this joyful adventure includes the rumble with all of life. And what philosophy means is that you are giving attention to the, I'm going to quote this here, serious contestation, trouble, wrestling with catastrophe, coping with monstrosities, about conflict, about tension, and learning how to live in the midst of that tension. We are all in the midst of uncertainty and doubts, and there's this irritable reaching that we do for fact and reason, and it doesn't help us. And that is a philosophical wrestling with ways of being in the world. And Rilke has this quote about, let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going because no feeling is final. And when I chose to engage with my life, less so through a lens of trauma and more so through a philosophical adventure, it opened up doors for me that lets me breathe easier in my mind and body. This idea that Rilke said, let everything happen to you, beauty and terror, just keep going, no feeling is final. I would agree and disagree at the same time as I philosophically rumble, where no feeling is final, but I've had feelings of sadness perpetuate for 30 years inside of me because my nervous system didn't allow that feeling to end. And and so no feeling is final if your nervous system is on board with you, and have you gone through and completed your stress cycles. And I think staying in this hyper vigilant perceiving threat trauma lens all the time was keeping me locked up in a stress cycle that hadn't completed, making my feeling of sadness feel like it was never ending, perpetuating this feeling that I'm broken, something's wrong with me, I need to fix it, this is wrong, it needs to be different. Like, that is a recipe for torture. That is tolerating the intolerable, and it makes us all sick. So I would encourage all of you dealing with trauma, which is real, and I do feel and still rumble with the sadness that this is something we all have to deal with. And the more we can deal, interact, relate with the traumas and monstrosities and terrors of our lives through a lens of philosophy instead of trauma, philosophy, I think, opens us up to really tap into this common humanity where all of us suffer. All of us struggle. None of us are alone. And we're all trying to learn how to rumble and make the best of our way through it. And I think a philosophical, adventurous approach to rumbling with the difficulties of life will help you open up your mind and body to be a little more free and have a little more breathing room from the trap cage that trauma can put you in, because philosophy recognizes that all of this is okay. All of this is a part of life. The beauty, the goodness, the love, the monstrosities. And the more we can shorten that distance from tears to humor, the more we can connect in safety with others as they're rumbling too, the less we feel alone in the hardships of this journey. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you about how do you choose your own life. What, please, my friends, are you receiving from this talk and time together today? Scott, thank you. You have a beautiful week too, my friend. It's like my friend Scott at the park. Every time I see him, I say, "Have a good day," and he says, "That's the plan." So, Scott, I'll say it back to you. Have a beautiful week. That's the plan. What else is everybody receiving here today? Do you want to choose your life? Do you want to have a philosophical adventure with life, or do you want to remain in a trauma view of life? Because I don't care. I choose and accept you as you are. I don't choose you because I don't know you, but I choose to engage in this conversation with you, and I accept wherever you are is totally blessed and fine by me. I think that having a lens of philosophy and adventure is a little more expansive than the constriction of trauma. And sometimes we need constriction. So, C.H. Dante, maybe realizing that fear isn't, oh, yes, fear is not the best tactic to stay alert, aware, and safe. It helps to end leaning on the memory that didn't learn from the experience. You know, there is a time and place for fear when it's warranted and there is objective physical danger. Like, fear is courage in action. It's funny, Marcus's tail started going nuts when I was saying that. But unwarranted fear, right? Ruminating, catastrophizing, the hypervigilant trauma circuits will have you believe that you need them to stay safe. And I would invite you to consider that relaxed alertness actually might be a more life-giving tool for you to stay alert, aware, and safe. Brent, thank you for the healing energy of self-disclosures about my past traumas. Absolutely. And I love that the word past is there. I kept perpetuating my traumas in my present because I was holding on to them, C.H. Dante, because I was afraid and I didn't know how to let go and I didn't know how to surrender. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But um I'm glad, Brent, that this conversation's been liberating and hopeful. It has been for me. They say a teacher is somebody who is willing to learn in public. And I really enjoy even though it's uncomfortable, a lot of the time, these conversations with you all, um, because I'm learning from all of you too. Um, Jody Mitchell, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I work on trying not to feed those neural pathways that are like well worn highways. Easy to travel on, but never really gets you anywhere. You said it well, my friend. My own neural pathways are becoming more and more like this ratty old security blanket that has brought me so much comfort. And I don't want to say goodbye, but God, it stinks. And so at some point, we want to do a little ritual ceremony to say goodbye and reject the shitty old patterns that we have that served us very well once upon a time. So I would argue, Jody, they never really get you anywhere. They do. They get you deeper in the trench that you are stuck in, my friend. Thank goodness we can dig trenches of truth and find new ways out. So, next week, I am so excited to be starting a new series on roles, the common roles that we all play in our lives. None of them are bad or good or right or wrong. If you're okay with everything, then everything's okay. But we're going to be exploring the two common triangles, the dreaded drama triangle or Cartman's drama triangle and the empowerment triangle. So we have victim, rescuer, persecutor, creator, coach, and challenger. And I'm going to take a week with each role and explore the benefits and drawbacks and just lay out a buffet of information for us all together and participate in. It's going to be a buffet. Take what you like, leave the rest, but we're going to explore these roles, how they show up in our body, our mind, which is brain, body, and relationships, and our lives. Vidhaya, I'm going to end with your comment. Choosing myself and my experience is what I'm taking away. I love it. Vidhaya, thank you for reminding us. Yes, I went through being ghosted by someone that meant a lot to me, and I've been frozen and anxious. And Vidhaya, I just want to say, that's a difficult one, and I've been there, and it's very uncomfortable. And I am choosing conversation with you right now. So even though people ghost, there's still people in the world that choose to engage with you. And I just had this beautiful interaction with the song Ghost by Justin Bieber last week. And there's a line in there that I'll settle for the ghost of you. And I was singing it about my mom. Like I can't be close to you, so I'll settle for the ghost of you. And I thought that was a really bittersweet moment of healing because it was telling the truth on a new level that I never will have my physical mother to hold. But when I settle for the ghost of her, like, what is it that a mother has? It's in my ideal world, love, care, security, comfort, attention, engagement. And I can do those things in my life. I do them with friends, family, dog, myself. So, blessings to you and your ghosting experience. Margaret, thank you. And for all the comments, yes, all of you, when you participate live and later, the comments are appreciated because you matter. Paisley, good to see you here, my friend. Peace, hug. I hope I got that right. Um, Yep. CH Dante said it. If somebody ghosts you, it means they aren't emotionally mature and able to have a relationship with you. So, thank you for creating some space for me to have an opportunity to engage in a relationship that does matter, like me choosing myself. Earthling, thank you for a wonderful and well needed message. Big hugs to you. Big hugs to all of you. I appreciate you. I enjoy you. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Monday, 10:30 Mountain Time. And we will be, I'm pausing because I'm thinking, which sometimes gets in the way of things. But anyway, I may or may not take a week off, but I promise the next series that we start either next week or the week after, the exciting roles of our lives, not the days of our lives, the roles of our lives and how they show up in our body. I really enjoyed this time with you all, and we'll see you next time.